I tell the hygienist, you only have to get them to a consult. That's when I think the trust and all of that stuff can build. But if you try to do it in a dental exam or right away, you kind of lose that probably the trust at the heart
Because
of
then
it.
it sounds like you're selling me something.
Mhm.
Yeah. And, we do the same thing with a crown. We look at a broken down tooth and we tell the patient it needs a crown. They're unaware. They're not interested. They haven't come to trust us. They haven't asked us how we're going to fix this. And we're immediately shooting them the solution to this thing they're just becoming aware of, this broken down tooth. And it's the same sort of disconnect. And I don't care whether it's a car repair.
Sure.
We can go anywhere in life and say the same learning lesson, this learning ladder occurs, this lesson coming up that ladder.
Mark, what are indicators, when you're taking a patient through that learning ladder, what are some indicators that it's time to move to the next rung on the ladder, to move up the ladder? And what are some indicators that maybe you've gone too far, too fast, and it's time to step back a little bit?
When you see the backside of the patient leaving the room, you know you've gone too quickly up that learning ladder, or you get that insistent, "Sure, whatever you think, doc," but they're just giving you lip service on that. Um, this is the part where it's a little harder to teach. I think I could teach learning ladder all day. I could get people to role play and learn these conversations. I could do this all day, but to get them to read people's responses to this is a little bit trickier. Some people are better. My wife is, for example, so empathetic, so intuitive about seeing people's body language and emotions and leaning in versus leaning back and uncrossing their arms and legs versus crossing them. All these kinds of things that you read that somebody's engaging with you rather than not engaging in active listening and cognitive dissonance with you. And those are a little bit harder. We're not trained. And again, if we're introverted, we're not usually as good at looking at those things and seeing that develop in a two-person conversation or a three-person conversation.
Mhm.
But I think that if you're a dentist that's not a strong communicator in this arena, and you try it several times and you really work on your skills and you're not good at it, there's nothing wrong with hiring somebody else that is. There's nothing wrong with outsourcing that. Um, I don't like to do root canals or ortho or something like that when I was practicing dentistry, so I would outsource that, and the same thing can happen here. You could outsource those conversations to somebody else who'd be good on your team, and then you're just seen as this expert clinician that's gonna step in and do this part. Because yeah, so
I'm gonna get whiplash from all the nodding I'm doing.
no, but
Preach it.
Eric, I would be shockingly surprised if we weren't in lockstep on 90% of the stuff we're gonna talk about for
Yeah.
sure.
But
Just
Mark, that to come to that conclusion that you're not the person for that role, even that takes a level of, honest self-assessment and self-awareness. And I think that, that's something that, and this isn't exclusive to dentists, but that's something that many of us just as humans uh lack, is that willingness to honestly assess what our strengths and our weaknesses are.
I'll go you one step further, Jason.
Please.
They do assess their abilities and their self-awareness is strong, and they realize they're not the right person, and they hire who they think is the right person. Oftentimes, because we're dentists and we're high Js and we're engineering types and everything like that, we expect 100% out of that person all the time, and they are not allowed to make any mistakes. The moment they do, we're correcting them and stepping on them and things like that. And so then they become disillusioned with this role that we hired them for because they don't have the ability to grow within that role, which we couldn't do.
Mhm.
We have
Mhm.
a higher expectation for them to perform something that we weren't very good at.
Mm. Mhm.
That is now so I see that in practices all the time.
Sleep matters.